of like a personal calendar. You've got one on your phone. You know, okay. You can kind of list when your flight is and when you got other things coming.
For $140,000 a year, you think he'd be here.
Is that any better, guys?
Yeah, I think so.
Keep talking.
Audio better. Check
so what'd you do
2.
today? Yeah, what'd you do today?
Hello.
Tell us about your day. What time?
Yeah,
did you get up
about my day. Okay, so yeah, went in kind of early this morning and started looking at things. Thought I might be out chasing this evening. Right. So yeah.
You're back to the. It's better than the previous
echo.
mic, but the mic has got this big. I'm in this massive cathedral chamber.
Okay.
Kind of sound to it.
Well, let me brainstorm here.
Do you have any smaller room or?
Yeah.
Do you have an equalizer?
Or
my problem is I don't have really any carpet in my house. We moved not too long ago, and everything's either wood or tile, so everything just reverberates like crazy.
He's in a museum.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I see we're live, so I'll quick say, hey, if you're watching us live, this is Stormfront Freaks Raw, or if you're watching the recording of this, so we call it Raw because you're getting everything. It's recording night, and we don't stop our live stream. So you get everything. So you get us talking to Michael right now, our guest, trying to figure out the best audio solution for him. This is all the crap that we obviously edit out. But thanks for joining us nonetheless. And feel free to chat in the chat room. I know MJ monitors that, so if you got questions for Michael or anything like that, feel free to leave those as well. But thanks for joining us. All right, back to business. All right, so what's your idea, Michael? What do you think? And if we go with this, we'll go with it. That's fine.
Okay, no, that's cool.
Because we can hear you. It's really...
That's good. I'll tell you what. I'm just going to take my laptop with me and see how I can make this work. So bear with me.
Wow, we get a little tour.
Get a tour.
Right the house.
Tour time.
That's right. Yeah, we'll just get a tour of my home here. Is what you're getting right now.
He's done good there.
That's already better
right there.
Is it already better?
That was already better where you were, yeah.
He's like, I'm in the laundry room, though.
I'm out in the garage. I'm just going to sit in my car.
Okay. Whatever room you went in before you went in the dark.
Yeah, that was
good.
That was into my laundry room or something. So the wife will probably be doing some laundry or whatnot. So we'll just skip that. How's this?
The wife is going to go, dear, what are you doing in the garage?
Seriously. No, this will work good.
We never see you in the laundry room.
Yeah.
It does sound better.
The good thing is I'm not out in western Oklahoma fishing for a signal on a cell tower.
True.
So
right.
That is true. No, yeah, you look fine. You're in a car.
Great.
It's probably
coffee.
a better seat. It's probably a more comfortable seat.
Are you gonna have?
Actually, it is.
Are you gonna have issues with your battery, your laptop battery?
I don't think so. So I'll tell you
what.
What I'll do is I do have a outlet close by, and at our first break, I'll just run and grab it real quick.
All right,
Okay.
That's fine. All right, well then let's go ahead and we'll get started. Everybody, they got their mic close to you is good. Dina, double tap your mic again. Good. MJ, I think you're fine. Tap it. Do it again. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Mute your phones if you haven't, and just as a heads up, Michael, if you need to mute yourself for any reason, when you move your mouse, you get a little window at the top, and one is mic mute, one is camera mute.
Got it.
Use it if you need to. Try not to bump your. Are you using, Michael, your laptop mic?
Yes.
Okay.
So
just be careful not to be bumping it and moving it and all that kind of stuff. If you get knocked off for any reason, just reconnect on the same link, and we'll get back to where we started. So we'll do the intro. We'll do what co-hosts, what you're all drinking to introduce you, and then Dean, and I'll turn it over to you to go ahead and give Michael his introduction.
Okay.
If you're ready for that, and then we'll do lightning round and take our break. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right, let's double check. I'm going to do sound one more time, MJ. How's that crowd sound? Is that good? Okay. All right, so I'll count in. We'll get started. Everybody watching us live, what's up? All right, ready in 3, 2. All right, hey, welcome to the most entertaining weather podcast on your listening and viewing device This is the Stormfront Freaks podcast. If you're a first-time listener, hey, thanks for stopping by and checking us out. We always encourage you, if you like this show, you got to go to stormfrontfreaks.com. Check out all the other past shows in our library that we've got with previous guests from the weather industry like Gary England, James Spann. This is episode 63, and we have the pleasure of talking TV storm chasing with field meteorologist at KOCO-TV in Oklahoma City. Michael Armstrong is here tonight. So excited to have Michael. He'll be facing our lightning round. And fan favorite Weather Fools is going to be back tonight, as well as the return of Weather's Believe It or Not. But before we get to all that, let's go ahead and introduce our co-host. Maz, I'm going to start with you. What are you drinking tonight, sir?
Okay, so I decided to go Mexican tonight. You can pronounce it Tecate, or you can pronounce it like some of the folks back home, Tecate.
Tecate.
But it's light.
I like Tecate.
It's good. I like that. Yep.
Like I drink Tecate and then I do karate.
That's right.
That's funny. That's funny. All right, MJ, what are you drinking?
All right, tonight we're drinking in a frosty mug.
Look at that.
Castle Danger Cream Ale brewed on the shores of Lake Superior in Two Harbors, Minnesota.
Castle Danger.
Wow.
You had it
guys
before?
Come up with the best
Yes,
beers.
I have. Their cream ale is good. I like it a lot.
Very nice. Very nice. All right, Maz. What? I did you already. Dina,
Let's
what are you
do that.
drinking?
Deja vu.
I have kind of a weak Long Island iced tea. It's pretty good. I didn't have everything, but does
Strong?
the job. It does the job.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, tell you what, I'm going to leave it with you. We're going to go ahead and get to our guest tonight.
All right, tonight we welcome meteorologist Michael Armstrong. He's a field meteorologist and executive weather producer at KOCO-5 First Alert Weather. When severe weather threatens Oklahomans, Michael leads the local coverage from the field in First Alert Storm Command. He's earned numerous awards for his role in severe weather coverage, including the National Edward R. Murrow Award and Heartland Emmy. Michael has a Bachelor of Science degree in meteorology from the University of Oklahoma School of Meteorology. So, Michael, since you're the field guy, I guess I want to know, what's the most intense weather you've seen in the field?
Most intense weather in the field certainly has to be May 3rd, 1999, and it's amazing we're coming up almost on 20 years on that. As a matter of fact, actually, today's the 20th anniversary of really kind of one of my first tornado events, which was October 4th, 1998 in central Oklahoma. We had several tornadoes that formed. One was an F3 that hit Meeker, Oklahoma, just east of Oklahoma City at night. And so I was actually thinking about that today and just how crazy it is to be on with you guys this evening as these anniversaries are coming up. And, it just doesn't feel like I've been in the business, 20 plus years, but here I am.
Wow.
You look too young.
I know. I was thinking, I
years.
didn't want to ask his age because I'm like, you look.
Well, I'm still trying to point everybody to the fountain of youth. Yeah. But I have 4 kids, the oldest of which is 17. So trust me, I'm older than I look.
Well, chasing does well for you.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
So, Michael,
exactly right.
Michael, tell us a little bit about what your day is like. So my understanding is you work a lot with some of the contracted chasers you have for KOCO, right? And I think that's really unique, is kind of to find out a little bit is how you're coordinating. You wake up on a high-risk day. How are you coordinating all those storm chasers? Kind of tell us a little bit about the beginning of the day, and then once the storms start initiating, what's your relationship to the live coverage you guys are doing?
Yeah, great point. It is a unique role in that what I was hired on to do is kind of manage our chase team in a way and communicate with them. But what I do is I work very closely with Chief Meteorologist Damon Lane and also one of our other meteorologists, Jonathan Condor, who's our weekend evening meteorologist. We all three work together very closely. Jonathan was a former chief meteorologist. I've been in the business for a long time, but we all are humble enough to recognize that we don't know everything going into every event, and especially when it comes to tornadoes and supercells. So we really lean on one another, and this starts days in advance. So we really have to reach out to our guys being contract employees and try to figure out who's even available. I mean, they have other jobs, they have other responsibilities, and it may be that somebody's not available to go on a particular day, and they know that 4 or 5 days, a week in advance. It's really amazing how far meteorology has come. When I think about it in the last 20 years, it's no longer, for the most part, you don't just wake up that morning and know whether you're going to go out or not. Occasionally that still happens, but with the advances, not only in observational meteorology, but also in the modeling that goes on now, it's really amazing. So on a normal day, I'll get up in the morning. We'll already have had a pretty good idea by that point of how we want things to go. But my task will be to set targets for our team. So we have a fairly large DMA, designated market area, and that's the places where our TV signal goes. And so because it's fairly large, and a lot of times our risk areas will cover the whole area, we can't afford to have everybody be on one storm. And that's frustrating sometimes for our chasers. So I work very hard to earn their trust and let them know that we're always going to make it as fair as we can. If somebody ends up on a great storm, and of course everybody's wanting to see the tornado and all of that, we try to really kind of even things up. And if somebody gets a great storm, then the next time maybe some other guy will kind of get to go where they want to go. They'll have their first choice. But what I'll do is set up targets and coordinate all that. So my day starts very early on severe weather days now, and really I think of it so different now as a broadcast meteorologist with social media now, because we're kind of always on. I mean, people are thirsty, they're hungry for severe weather information, particularly on big days, and it's almost like you just can't do enough as far as Twitter and Facebook and now Instagram, and I haven't even got into the whole Snapchat deal, but I mean there's just it's just crazy, all these different platforms. The idea of you just go on and do a severe weather cut-in during a commercial break or do wall-to-wall coverage it's a thing of the past. It's really kind of a unique thing. So my day starts very early. Then I'll get into the station usually around noon or 1 o'clock, honestly, in most storm days, and leave for my target area where I'm going to put storm command, and then we adjust from there as the day goes. And of course, there's always changes, it seems like.
Now, how many guys do you have, and how many of them do you let actually storm chase from their garage like you're doing tonight?
Yeah, well, all the time. They do remote chasing, right?
There's a picture up of a storm.
Yeah. Look at that! Yeah, I'm an instant hero. Look at this huge tornado I saw today.
Now, do you have many guys that are contracted?
Yeah, well, we do, and so we do a mix at KOCO because we have some photographers. We've kind of changed our model at KOCO whenever I came on. Now, they had a few, what we call these contract chasers, that were on the team before, but they had also leaned heavily on their photogs, we call them, or photojournalists, where Chris Lee at Channel 5 he's been chasing storms probably since the early 80s, I think. I mean, he first came on to Channel 5 in 1979. He's still working. He's still a great photographer. So those guys have an incredible skill set at being photojournalists. First of all, they have incredible equipment. Their cameras, a lot of chasers spend money. A lot of chasers spend money on cameras. Trust me, you can't touch what like these corporations can buy on these. I mean, their camera's just incredible. So there's another guy named Mark Fricklin. He's chased for 30 years. So when they're not doing news stories, we can kind of lean on them to also help out. So our team, we just expand it however we need to. So it could be as many as 10 or more teams out in the field. As far as what we call our core chasers and like our contract chasers, right now we have 4 to 5 of those guys. We're actually getting ready to bring on a couple of more onto our team as we've gotten, again, you put in for resources and the company decides, yeah, we can do that, or no, we can't. So we're getting an opportunity to expand a little bit in that area, which we're excited about.
Is that because
you
fired some folks? Is that why?
Yeah, well, no, that's not it at all. You guys are going to try to get me in trouble all night long. I can feel it.
So are these all, Michael, are they all contracted, or are any of them actually employed? by the
No,
station?
well, the photojournalists are employed, but the rest of our guys are not. And I am. I'm a salaried meteorologist, so I also fill in on the air. So I seriously put on so many different hats. My schedule changes all the time. I'm helping with what we call our executive weather producer. So I'm helping coordinate with all sorts of different segments that we're trying to produce week in and week out, and then I'm chasing, and then I'm filling in sometimes. Like this weekend, I'll be filling in for Jonathan on the weekend evening. So
Yeah, but that's
it
got to be
just
nice.
changes.
That's probably nice. It keeps it from getting stale.
It's a good mix. It really
Yeah, it
is.
is.
It just, the idea of it being 8 to 5, forget about it. I mean, the weather does not wait on anybody. So.
So think about it before you want to stand in your shoes, is what you're saying.
Just yeah, and honestly, whoever, like, if you got a significant other, you got children, whatever, they all have to kind of buy into it. They just have to know that, we're kind of like first responders. Like you just get up and you may be called at a moment's notice, and you go. And like I said, the one good thing that I think about today now is we can generally plan ahead so much better because the computer modeling has improved amazingly.
So let's talk a little bit again about, so let's say all the storms now are initiating, and you've got, how many teams out? 4, 5 maybe on a big night when it's spread out?
Yeah, and it could be as many as 8 to 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's going on back at the studio as far as how does that communication work with all the chasers and who you decide to go to with the live coverage? How are you working that?
Yeah. So once I get out in the field in Storm Command, what I'm doing is I'm texting, I'm talking with our Mets back at the station, and we're making.
And by the way, do you always get the best spot? You're like, hey, I'm taking here's where the ridge is, and they're all going, damn, I want that.
I'll be in my garage.
Yeah, you get the best spot all the time, I'd imagine.
Well, what we end up doing is they have invested a lot of money in Storm Command, so they want it to lead our coverage. So I'm tasked with kind of being on at ground zero.
Too bad.
And
He's
so
like
what
the
we
Jim
end up
Cantori.
doing,
He gets the best spot.
well, what we end up doing, and honestly, I mean, I make mistakes just like everybody else, and I don't care how long you've been doing this. You can't always get on every great storm. There's just too many miles to drive, and it's just that way. So, but at the same time, we may double up on a storm or something like that. I mean, it's not like I try to swoop in and take over the storm or anything like that or whatever. But, we also chase with the helicopter. So with Sky 5, they can get to areas faster than I can, like if it's in a different region of the state or whatever. So we really try to make sure that we're covered. And I go back to, do you guys remember the Katy tornado or Wynnewood tornado a couple of years ago in May of 2016, southern Oklahoma?
Maybe.
It was a pretty intense tornado, but it was right on the fringes of our DMA, our designated market area. So we had a risk of supercells and tornadoes right in Oklahoma City. Well, it looked like southern Oklahoma was going to be the place to be. Well, it ended up being that way, but we had a risk everywhere. So we ended up also having a tornado in a severe thunderstorm watch box across northern Oklahoma up near Stillwater, not too far from the campus of Oklahoma State University. So we had multiple tornadic supercells, and that's a perfect example where if I had taken off and bolted and the rest of our team had, we would not have been covered in other areas, and we would have been letting our viewers down. So it takes a lot of discipline to do what we do, and that's the big difference between what I would call freelance chasing and doing what we do in the media side.
That's why you're Storm Commander.
That's it.
Storm Commander.
That's part of it. Yeah.
You should copyright that because that is cool. I want those on my plates or something.
KOCO. Wow, that place sounds like it is really ready. I mean, they've got helicopters. They've got I mean, they sound like the place to be if you really want to chase.
It is, and we've done it for a long time, and kind of, I don't know what you say, perfected it. It's never perfect, but we're always getting better because we practice it a lot. And when I think about it, sometimes I think about other areas of the country, it's just not really even feasible. It's not possible when you've got trees and hills and craziness. Like I was trying to think about, trying to chase North Carolina when Florence came in or whatever, and I'm like, that sounds like a nightmare, honestly, just because we've got the plains, we have some wide open spaces. We can see storms sometimes 30, 40, 50 miles away. It's just,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, so it
you have a
lends
tree there?
itself to storm chasing. What's
There's
that?
like no trees in Oklahoma, right?
There's quite a bit, but there's
Five.
the further west you go, five. There's more than that.
It's called green space.
Trust me, like especially you go east of I-35, and that's an area that I don't really particularly enjoy chasing. We do it because we have viewers who live there, but it gets a lot harder, and so it gives me a flavor for what it's like to. I mean, I don't even want to think about it, like trying to chase in. Like the Ozarks. I mean, one of my first chases was actually over into Arkansas, and it was a frustrating experience just because it's hard to see anything.
So I interrupted you when you were explaining, which I do all the time, but you were explaining a little bit, Michael, what's going on with command with you and at the station when now storms are hitting. You guys are live on TV.
Yeah.
And I'm a chaser, and I've called in on whatever line I'm listening to, and you said you got 5, maybe 8 chasers out there.
Yeah.
How is that being coordinated with whoever you've got at the station, who's going, okay, I'm going to go live to so and so who's over here.
The best shot. Who's ever got the best shot, right?
How is that
That's
all
right.
being coordinated? Explain that process, because
Yeah,
I think that's extremely unique.
So all of our streams come in to basically one centralized computer that's divided up into multiple number of screens. So there's a communication meteorologist who will work in tandem with a radar meteorologist, and then those two, there's really kind of a three-headed monster, if you will. There's the person on the wall, on the weather wall, who's delivering the coverage, and then you have a radar meteorologist who's analyzing radar kind of behind the scenes and watching out for other storms, tipping off the person who's on the wall, which is Damon, typically our chief meteorologist. He's on the wall delivering, and then you have our communication meteorologist, and that can vary between our morning meteorologist or our weekend morning meteorologist also. So it becomes a well-oiled machine. It sounds pretty complicated, but it really, everybody kind of knows their role and they know their responsibility. And that's the thing, is it really is a team sport in a sense. Everybody's got to know exactly what their responsibility is, and it's long hours and it's very intense, because there's times whenever it can go pretty dull for a while, honestly. I mean, storms are just not really getting their act together. You're not having tornadoes. They're not that bad. And then all of a sudden, something, a light switch will flip and things will just amp so fast. And you've got to be ready for that moment when that happens. Other times it just starts off big and bad from the beginning of the storm, and it just stays that way for hours and hours and hours. And so it really changes a lot. So there's a lot of coordination that takes place. What I do, I set the targets initially in my role. I will give some input, like if I start to see something meteorologically, because I'm analyzing things as I'm out in Storm Command. I'm looking at the data all the time, and if I see something, I may text somebody and say, hey, we might need to shift a crew here or there or whatever, and I'll give some input. But at that point, I really kind of shift gears into storm chasing mode myself, navigation, looking at radar, breaking down where we need to be, how soon we need to leave, working on communication, making sure I can stay in good communication with the station.
So you're basically you're just like a chaser. So you're one of the other 8, for example, that are all calling in on a phone line, is that right?
Yeah, mine's a little bit different. We use TVU. Well, we always use TVU, but the thing about it is, for mine, in Storm Command we have broadcast quality audio, so I have a noise canceling headset that I have on, and so I'll do my audio, and because occasionally they'll want to come to me and I'm on camera, so we have a camera that's in the truck that faces me. in order to not get a lip sync issue, I'll actually do my audio through the TVU so that my video and audio are synced up and there's not a lip sync issue. So mine's a little bit different, but most of them are calling in on phones, and we have a phoner system where you call in, and that's like a party line basically where everybody's on there.
Do you put your other chasers live their faces, or are you the only one that gets FaceTime?
Yeah,
are they just showing their storms and whatever cameras they have on their vehicle?
Right, most of the time it's their dash cam, or what we're putting 360 cameras, cameras that sit on top of the vehicles that rotate 360. Those are awesome.
So who's back?
So
at
I'm
the
usually
station?
only the one on the air as far as my face goes.
Right.
From
So
the field.
Michael? Who's back at the station that's telling Damon or whoever else that's saying, okay, Michael's on something right now, let's go to him, or Jim is on something, let's go. Who?
Right.
Not who, but what's
that
role? Who's doing that and communicating with all the chasers, and then
so
letting Damon know?
That's a little bit of a dance that goes on between our radar meteorologist, Jonathan, and either Shelby or Eric, who is our morning meteorologist, who are doing the communication role. So that's typically who's communicating that. And basically what they'll do is we've designed our weather set in the studio to where they can just get their attention with a hand movement, something very subtle, and know that we need to go to somebody else. That something's going on with another storm, and sometimes that happens. We may have 3 or 4 different storms that are about to produce tornadoes and so it can get it can get pretty wild. It really can, trying to coordinate all that.
Have you had more than one tornado on at once where it's like, all right, we got 2 guys and they're separate places, but we've got 2 tornadoes live right now? Have you ever been in
for
that
sure.
situation?
Yeah, we've had that. Yeah, definitely, we've had that, and it becomes a little bit of a kind of a juggling act, because everybody wants you to cover their storm. Like if the storm's coming toward where you are, all you want them to talk about, all you want us to talk about, is the storm that's approaching you. You don't care about the storm that's somewhere else, but we owe that to the entire viewership. So it's tough, like when you got multiple storms like that. Yeah,
that's where home ownership comes in. Those homeowners associations, if that neighborhood's paying us more money, I'm going to them.
So Michael, I have a question for you, because I've been with the Weather Channel a long time, so we would have our on-camera meteorologist. I guess like when I would be a weather producer, so I kind of like look to what you were calling the radar meteorologist, because I'm looking at that and doing helping them with their hits. But you said there's a coordinating meteorologist. Are they kind of acting almost as a director, saying take camera so and so, or take Michael, or take, or what's the the coordinating meteorologists? Right. I guess I'm wondering what their separate duty is.
Okay, so
Gina's curious. She's going to put in a resume.
I did this, and I'm like, I kind of had to do a little bit of all that.
Yeah.
Right. So we will look to one of our senior producers or executive news producers who will be up in the booth, who will be coordinating in the control room with the director and maybe a news director or whoever might be in the booth. So they're working on all of the technical things, on getting supers up and making sure the locations are right and making sure that if the meteorologist on the wall is calling for, hey, I'd like a 2-box where I want First Alert Storm Command shot up and I want radar, then they'll call for that. So there's actually a big news element that comes in and assist from a production standpoint. That way the meteorologist can really focus on the weather, the storms, and getting whoever's on the best storm, or who's on the, and I say best, whoever's on the most significant storm, the most impactful, making sure that they get on. So we really try to keep our meteorologists being able to focus on the weather, and then allow everybody else in the station to come and support us.
Man, I should have worked at KOCO. You got a wall meteorologist, a radar meteorologist,
I'm like,
communication.
he's got a better setup than anybody.
I had a guy named Bob, and we had to sweep floors in between.
I know.
It's like, what the heck?
Well, it's kind of by necessity, because it's a little bit different market in that we're super aggressive in covering storms. People have gotten used to that. They expect that, and if you want to compete, which let's face it, I mean, television is competitive, then you better bring it.
What's the future, Michael? What do you see as where this whole trying to have now your own set of storm chasers, trying to get all the video of that, and obviously with where TV, news, weather, sports, where all that kind of is going, what do you see as the future for you guys in Oklahoma City with that? What's the next step? What's the next big thing that you see coming down the pike?
Well, as I see it, technology has a big part in driving that, like we see right now with the social media. I mean, I think we probably thought even 20 years ago that in some way interactivity and two-way communication where viewers or digital users, whatever you want to call them, are able to interact with us now personally and ask us questions. I just see a continued development of some sort of either TV platform where it's two-way or something like that, continued to kind of development toward this merger between social media and television, and it's already going on now where we're trying to do kind of both at the same time, but it really brings a different component into it because as someone who's out there and they just want to know is the storm coming to my house, well, now they can ask you a direct question. And you know, for me, I'm out in the field. Sometimes I have time to answer those questions, sometimes I don't. I try to get to as many of those as I can. But we also have meteorologists who are doing that back in the studio. And I really think that that's going to be a much richer experience for the end user, for the viewer over time, because it really opens up the opportunity for someone to get the information that's most important to them. And really that's kind of the name of the game. And that can be tough. You know, when you think about it, our viewership on severe weather events, especially a big one, will surpass the Super Bowl experience, honestly, for the ratings. I mean, there's that many people watching severe weather coverage. Just incredible.
Well, and that's Oklahoma City. I mean, you know, I think the answer is you need another meteorologist personally there. But, but you
just keep hiring.
Having that support staff, it probably doesn't work so well. And you're like, we're in Hawaii with 14 meteorologists and it's nothing going on, you know. So the future for you guys, I think you guys are buffered from what could potentially happen elsewhere. Where
that's a good point.
You guys are staffed up to the hilt because it is so competitive. And man, KOCO's got some deep pockets.
I know. I'm so impressed with them.
Yeah, me too.
Well, so here's the question, Michael. Yeah,
it's Hearst. It's our corporation. I mean, they own 30 TV stations. So now you got to remember though that there's catch-22 there. All of those TV stations are wanting good resources to deliver the product to their viewer too. So you know, we just got some upgrades recently for our photographers on their video cameras that they've been waiting on for quite a while, and so they got those. So that's kind of catch-22, but you're right. I mean, it is an investment, and the TV station. I just real quick, one of the things that's really interesting, sometimes people will think that we just come on just to hear ourselves talk. We just want to, you know, we get caught up in the fame of all of it and everything.
That's why we do this.
Yeah. What people don't realize is when you're doing wall-to-wall coverage, you're not making money. You're blowing out all those commercial spots. So I'm talking thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars whenever you're not. And so that's a huge commitment to the viewership that our stations in Oklahoma City have been willing to take that step and say, you know what, this is that important. This is life-threatening, and we just believe that this is the right thing to do.
I got it because I used to work for Hearst. Okay, if Hearst is watching, here's what you do. You pull meteorologists like you do for hurricanes from other Hearst stations, have them go out there because they ain't doing anything at their other stations anyway, right? So, and that's how you cut down on the budget.
Well, and here's the other thing. So you've got 800 meteorologists there. What are you doing the other 8 months out of the year that you don't have severe coverage?
And growing.
So what's going on? Yeah, from August to
I think
February.
That's you know, one of the things that has been kind of interesting for us is that weather, even though it may not necessarily be life-threatening, it may just be what we would call nuisance weather. And that has really been interesting to watch on social media, because as we've seen, there can be a lot of interest in just what might be maybe just a glaze, like a little bit of freezing drizzle. Well, all of a sudden there's accidents all over the place, like these little events, and there's a lot of those that outside the bigger, tornado outbreaks and things like that. And whenever it gets to be 100, 110 degrees or whatever day after day, which sometimes it can. We didn't have that this last summer, but I don't know. There seems like there's always something going on, and I'm going to go back to that whole idea that I was kind of touched on in the beginning. This deal between social media and the broadcast, like the idea that you'll just come in and do a 5, 6, and 10 p.m. show, those days are over. You're producing content almost all the time, so much so that sometimes you feel like, man, can I even get the weather right? Because I got another hit to do on social media or whatever. I mean, like
or radio. Or a simulcast on another sister station or something.
Yeah, you're getting pulled all over the place. Yeah. So that goes on. Honestly, that goes on really. And then we're producing. I told you that weekly content. So we're turning weekly stories of varying different content. I mean, we tackle science topics. We tackle all kinds of stuff. We try to maybe go a little bit deeper. Like earlier this week, just on Tuesday. Jonathan did a story about how kind of El Nino's impacting our fall tornado season and what that looks like for us. So we start trying to do some outlook stuff to try to help people understand maybe what's coming in the next few weeks, not just what's coming tomorrow or in the next few days.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, Michael, do this. Tell our listeners how can they find. You talked about social media. How can they find you and follow you on social media?
Yeah, it's just meteorologist Michael Armstrong is what you'll find, and that's on the KOCO side. So, like, if you just go in and type in meteorologist Michael Armstrong, you'll find me on Facebook. It's at KOCO Michael on Twitter, and then I probably should get the
Snapchat?
same.
Did you say your Snapchat?
I don't have Snapchat yet.
Oh,
My
you're not.
daughter
You said
probably
you weren't
wants
yet.
me to.
Okay.
But Instagram is at Mike OKWX. So at Mike
They don't want
Mike
you to
OK
say
Weather.
They don't just say Coco, do they? They just say KOCO.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, I think I heard that somewhere along the line, but sometimes
All right.
sometimes
So hey,
people say
it is time for lightning round. Lightning round is our game show of flashy questions for our guest. We always invite everybody listening or watching to play along. But Michael, tonight we're going to play a little "Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?"
Me.
And here's what we're doing. So Michael, you've got 4 kids, correct?
Correct.
What are their ages again? Let's go through their ages.
Okay, 17, 14, 11, and 7. He's almost 8.
Okay.
God bless you, man.
Woo!
So here's
It's exciting.
Here's what we're doing. So with our Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, your questions are going to be centered around the 2018 Kids' Choice Awards, because you got to know this stuff, right? If you got all these kids and you got all these different ages, you better know what the trends are with the kids.
Ooh,
is that fair?
It's going to be fun.
All right.
So we'll play this.
I'm getting, I don't know, nervous.
All right, well, here's what we're going to do. So we'll play this like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which means you got lifelines. So one of your lifelines is 50-50, so I'll take away half the answers and leave you with the other half. That's one of them.
Right.
The other lifeline is you can pull a freak, so you can pick any one of the freaks, Dina, Maz, or MJ, any one of them, and you can ask them, and then we'll or that's ask a freak. Then we'll do pull the freaks, and we'll ask all of them what they think.
Who's that waving, saying, not me, not me?
I don't know. Not me.
Not me.
That'd be me.
Wait,
All right.
is your garage door down?
Yeah, it is.
So every time you miss a question, you got to run the engine for 3 minutes.
Oh, wow, all right.
Happy with us. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I have got how many do we have here? We've got six of the categories for the Kids' Choice Awards. I've got 6 of the categories, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you all the nominees, and you have to tell me who you think actually won in that particular category. Okay?
Okay.
So the first one is, so this is Kids' Choice Award Favorite Movie, and the nominees were Beauty and the Beast, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, Pitch Perfect 3, Spider-Man Homecoming, Star Wars The Last Jedi,
Holy
The Greatest Showman,
Oh,
and
that's
Wonder
rough.
Woman.
Wow.
So-
okay. What?
so-
Do we know the age of the kids at all?
I just, no.
No,
Who voted
okay.
for this is kids,
man.
so it could be any of them. You can kind of get a general idea, I think, with the movies.
Yeah.
That it's
there's-
not. It's probably not your 7-year-old that was probably involved in a lot of this voting. It's probably more the tweens to teens.
Yeah, probably.
So again, Beauty and the Beast,
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, Jumanji, Pitch Perfect 3, Spider-Man, Star Wars, The Greatest Showman, and Wonder Woman. What do you think?
Oh, was there a question in there?
There was. He's got to pick the favorite
I think I'm
movie.
going to go
favorite
with Star Wars.
He's going to go with Star Wars The Last Jedi.
Yes.
That would be incorrect. No, the answer
All right.
was Jumanji. Welcome
oh,
to
really?
the
I
Jungle.
was going to say Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. I was a little surprised by that
Even though
myself.
Wonder Woman should always
So,
win
so
everything.
guess the ages of the kids now, okay?
So
'Cause
my
it's-
my kids saw Jumanji. They actually liked that
It was
one.
cute. It was a
I
cute
li-
movie.
I like
Yeah, it
the
was a good
Robin
movie.
Williams one better, but all right. Here's the next one. Favorite movie actor. It's either Ben Affleck from Justice League, Chris Hemsworth from Thor Ragnarok,
Ooh.
Chris Pratt from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Dwayne Johnson from Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, Kevin Hart from Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, or Will Ferrell from Daddy's Home 2. Affleck, Hemsworth,
Can I
Pratt,
just
Johnson, Hart, Ferrell.
How many
I go with
questions? How many
Thor.
questions do we have again?
We have
Regina
total of
was the-
6, so we have 5
Total
left,
6.
and you got 3 lifelines.
3 lifelines. Well, I better start using them.
Yeah, you better.
Let's fire out a 50-50 then. Let's
All
narrow
right,
this down a little
50-50.
bit.
I'm going to give you 3. It's one of these 3. It's either Chris Pratt, Dwayne Johnson, or Kevin Hart.
Oh.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with my first thing I thought was Kevin Hart, so I'm going with that.
That would be incorrect. Now, you had the movie right.
The Rock.
It was
Johnson.
Dwayne
Rock?
Johnson, The
Always
Rock,
go with The
in
Rock.
Jumanji. So Jumanji's got 2 here. All right.
Well, I just thought that humor side of Kevin Hart maybe might get
funny.
it in Jumanji.
The
He's
Rock
fun.
has the
All
big
right.
muscles, though.
He's funny. All right.
Well,
Favorite movie actress. Favorite movie actress. Anna Kendrick from Pitch Perfect 3. Daisy Ridley, Star Wars The Last Jedi. Emma Watson, Beauty and the Beast. Gal Gadot from Wonder Woman. Zendaya from The Greatest Showman and Spider-Man Homecoming. Or Zoe Saldana from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So Anna Kendrick, Daisy Ridley, Emma Watson, Gal Gadot, Zendaya, or Zoe Saldana.
Was she Wonder Woman? Gal
Gal Gadot was.
Yes,
Well,
she
come
was
on.
Wonder Woman.
Have you met
Yeah.
me? You know I love my Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Don't make me get my outfit on.
All right, what do you think, Michael?
I'm going to go with Emma Watson on this one.
Gonna go with Emma Watson from Beauty and the Beast. That would be
Hey.
incorrect. It
I'm
was
going 0 for
Zendaya,
tonight.
and I don't know who Zendaya is, but she
No.
was
I've
in The
never
Greatest
heard of her.
Showman, and she was Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah, I actually
okay.
don't know
No
that
way.
name.
All right, so that's
She
3.
beat
So
Gal Gadot.
That's a
we
surprise.
are we are halfway through. Next one, favorite animated movie. Favorite animated movie, 2018. Captain Underpants, the first epic movie. Cars 3. Coco. Despicable Me 3. Ferdinand. Smurfs: The Lost Village. The Emoji Movie, or the Lego Batman movie.
There's just plain too many choices.
I
There's
know,
a
there's
lot.
too many
You know,
choices.
I know,
I
that's
probably
the
should have
thing.
narrowed it down, but
I'm
Depends on
used
the
to
age,
like
too.
4 multiple choice. This is
yeah,
crazy.
that's all right. Hey, baby,
All
this
right,
is
now-
Stormfront Freaks, man. You gotta be ready.
That's right.
It's either A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H.
So-
Dina, help me out.
All right,
I-
so he's going to Dina. Now,
Okay.
Dina, it's Captain Underpants, Cars 3, Coco, Despicable Me 3, Ferdinand, Smurfs, The Lost Village, The Emoji Movie, or Lego Batman movie.
I'm gonna go with Despicable Me 3.
Okay,
But-
that was my first.
That's a good one.
That's
Yeah.
my
That's
first
what you were gonna
pick.
say,
So let's
too?
do it.
So, final answer, Despicable Me 3.
Oh,
Incorrect.
I would
Now
have
this
guessed that.
Sorry,
is
Michael.
this is a little more advanced. You know, we're obviously in the
Is
the
it Coco?
tweens, teens. It is Coco.
I know.
Coco.
It's not. You know why? How ironic. You
Yeah.
work for Coco.
Right. No, I knew. Yeah,
There you
exactly.
go.
I'm sorry. KOC.
You know, Coco was a
Yeah,
little
spelled
bit more
differently.
advanced. It was a little bit more advanced movie, and obviously there's more thinking involved. All right, last two. Here we go.
Was
You got
Coco
one
the
lifeline.
Was Coco the skeleton one?
No. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yes, it
Ghost?
was.
Okay.
The Mexican.
Something,
Yeah.
Right.
Day of the Dead.
All right. So you got one lifeline left, which is Pull the Freaks. This is favorite music group. Favorite music group. We
Okay.
got Coldplay, Fifth Harmony, Imagine Dragons, Maroon 5, The Chainsmokers, or 21 Pilots.
I have never
Coldplay,
heard.
Fifth Harmony.
God, I hope
Half
they
of
have
them.
chain smokers for the kids, don't you?
It's 5.
I never even heard of half of them.
I guess I'll say my lifeline for the last one. I'm probably gonna go over tonight, but I'm really thinking Imagine Dragons. So
Imagine Dragons. Now, here's what I'll tell you. That is my son's favorite as well. That was his first concert he's been to, is Imagine Dragons as well. So I
Okay.
think that was a great pick.
Or Maroon 5.
However, that is
And-
incorrect.
yeah,
It's Fifth Harmony, and that's the one that I really haven't
I
heard a whole lot
don't know
about.
who they are.
Heard of them.
really
Fifth Harmony.
interesting.
Sorry, I don't
I'm
gonna
know
have to
Fifth
go
Harmony.
get
Here we
on.
go,
I've never heard
baby.
of you.
Let's roll it up here for the
For all
last
the money.
one.
All right.
This is
Alright.
this is favorite TV show. Favorite TV show.
Okay.
Okay.
Fuller House, Henry Danger, KC Undercover, Saban's Power Rangers Ninja Steel, Stranger Things, The Big Bang Theory, The Flash, or The Thundermans.
I got
Oh
it.
man, there's
I
a
got
lot.
I've heard of 2 of those.
Love all the weather
I got it.
TV shows you got
That's
in here.
true.
Okay,
That's true.
you
we're
guys know
pulling
what's
the
coming,
freaks.
so
We're pulling the
here's
freaks.
the
So Gina,
poll.
what? So here, I'll give it again. Fuller House, Henry Danger, KC Undercover, Power Rangers, Stranger Things, Big Bang Theory, The Flash, or The Thundermans.
Man, because it depends on the age. Because I'm gonna either go with Stranger Things or The Flash. But maybe
Boy.
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things. All right,
Okay.
Maz, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking Stranger Things. Everybody I was talking to is watching.
Yeah.
All right, MJ.
I can go with Stranger Things. My long shot is Fuller House, though.
Okay. All right. So there you go, Michael. What do you think? Take their advice or leave it. You can do what you want.
I'll tell you, there was a part of me, just because my son's really into the whole Power Rangers thing, but I'm biased because of that. And I think it's probably more of a boy thing from what I've noticed. So I will stick with the panel. I will drop the Stranger Things.
So we're going with Stranger Things, and
Yes.
and I will say this, judges. That is
Yay!
correct. It was Stranger Things.
Saved me!
All right, way to finish strong, and that you guys started figuring out, which is thinking, all right, what is going to be a that the boys and the girls will like, not just the boys, not just the girls. What Michael? Do you have boys or girls or combo? What's it like?
Both. I have my oldest is a girl, so girl, boy, from oldest to youngest.
Oh wow.
Okay, so you got a mix, so you nailed
I
that.
do.
All
Yeah.
right, way to finish strong, brother.
You have 1 out of 6. Yeah.
Hey, you
Well,
weren't
that-
skunked.
That
You
was
weren't
really
skunked.
hard.
That actually
hard.
it was
I
hard
didn't get 'em
because
either.
yeah, I should have probably narrowed it down to 4, and I gave you like all of them that were there. But
Well,
You gave us
it's
16 apiece.
it's interesting because just this couple months ago I took the CBM test, Certified Broadcast Meteorologist exam, and it's like 100 questions, multiple choice, but you have 4 or 5 answers instead of 20.
yeah, right. All right. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take a short break. Go ahead and refill your drink. And when we come back, we're going to have your favorite weather fools. All right, Michael. Great job, man.
Oh, thank you.
Hey.
I'll
That's
stick
good.
around.
You finished strong. So yeah, are you going to stick around for the last 2 segments?
Yeah, let's do it.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
So I need to do this. So Brady is not here to do
You can have him
weather
do a little.
fools.
You can have him do a tease.
Yeah, we'll do that too.
Okay.
Let's do it now. MJ, just so you know,
LJ. I don't know what's coming.
so MJ, we're gonna do a Helicity Designs spot again. You can just
I
use the
see
one you
that.
already did. But just so you know, the next break, it's not Canada Chaser Con, it's the Mid-Atlantic Chaser
No,
Con.
I saw.
So you'll have to make a
that
new one.
too.
And again, you verbiage-wise, do whatever you want there. But Michael, here's what we'd like you to do. If you can do a plug for us, and just say, this is Michael Armstrong, field meteorologist at KOCO-TV in Oklahoma City. You're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast. If you can do that.
All right. This is Michael Armstrong, field meteorologist in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. You're listening to the Storm Freaks podcast.
Close.
Okay.
Close.
Did
I miss something?
Stormfront Freaks podcast. Stormfront Freaks.
Stormfront Freaks.
We do that on purpose.
So close.
We do it on purpose because it makes for a great blooper reel. So yeah, do it again.
That's right.
And if you'd like to plug your own KOCO TV, you can, but you don't have to if you don't want to. That's fine.
You may not want to.
Well,
because you could just say, I'm a field meteorologist in all of frickin' Oklahoma, everybody.
I'm a free agent.
Yeah. All right, here we go. One more time. 3, 2, 1. I'm field meteorologist Michael Armstrong for KOCO-5 in Oklahoma City, and you're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
There's a winner.
Perfect.
Beautiful. Good job.
Right,
you're not drinking in the car, are you? That's good.
No.
Luckily, the garage is closed and the cop
right.
doesn't walk by and be like, "Well, you are sitting in the car."
I need someone to introduce Weather Fools. Maz, do you want to introduce that as well as the?
Oh, you want me to do both?
Yeah, do both.
I'm asking for a raise, man.
Unless MJ wants to do one, we can let him do one.
MJ.
No, I got listener questions. I actually got one that you guys can answer too.
Oh.
Okay. All right, cool. So Weather Fools, Maz, you can introduce that, what the heck it's all about. And I have 2.
Episode what?
We are episode 63.
Good, because I have none.
Notes.
And now
I have one.
Unless I feel bad
Dina.
this time.
And Michael, do you have one that you would like to share? A Weather Fool? I know you mentioned potentially one on our.
Yeah, I could do that. I'll try to
do that one.
All right, I'll do it.
It's the guy you fired, remember?
That's right.
I'm just messing. Hey.
Yeah, no, hey, that's what this is all about. We gotta have some fun, right?
Yeah.
All right, so Michael's got one as well. So I've got 2, Dina got 1, Michael got 1.
All right.
So we'll go. So Maz, go ahead and introduce it. Then you can go to us, and then episode 63 show notes or your podcast app, and then I'll take it to our final break.
Are we doing the other one too, or is that after the break?
We'll take a break and then we'll do the other one. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
So this is like a 3-minute segment.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Why don't you,
You can count yourself in. That works.
yeah, I'll do
Then
that.
you know when you want to start.
In.
Then you know
And-
when
and-
to start.
You're talking to me.
I'll start the applause. I'll tell the studio audience we have to start applauding, but you can start right away because from a video standpoint, when I play the applause, the camera goes to me, and it doesn't go to you until you start talking. So I just
so
kind
you
of
can't
sit there
point to me and be like, go.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay. You ready?
Yep.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Yes. You made it back. You're back, and it's time now for Weather Fools. Weather Fools is an interesting segment derived many, many moons ago about trying to find people who are doing things they probably shouldn't be doing in the weather. Now, your mind can go all over the place with this one, but I think Phil's got at least 1, if not 2. Am I correct?
I do have 2, so I'll let's do this. We'll do the first one.
And then we'll go to Dina.
Is crazy. So both of these come from Twitter, actually, and so it's amazing. I had a number of them have been saved up because we don't do this segment every single episode now. But so the first one I'm going to share with you guys is this is from Severe Weather EU, and they're showing this big not a wall cloud, but I can't even think of the word now.
Shelf cloud?
Thank you. Shelf cloud that's coming in. And the funny thing is right away at the beginning of the video, you see the shelf cloud. Now you see a little water underneath, and you're like, okay, it's like on the water. Maybe it's coming off the water. But as the camera pans along the shelf cloud, all of a sudden you see the fact that they're on a frickin' boat.
On a boat.
So here
man.
they are. This is apparently in Argentina, but they're fishing on a boat out in the frickin' ocean, and here's this massive shelf cloud that's basically coming their way. The funny thing is there is a spot, if you can even see this, you can see the inflow where the wind from the water is actually going towards the shelf cloud. It's just barreling the water is kind of, or the spray off the ocean is kind of going towards the shelf cloud, and you're like thinking, and these guys are fishing, going, look at this.
They're holding their beers.
Thing.
They got their beers.
That's probably true. So I'm sorry, but unless they were to turn the camera all the way around and you see that, oh, it looks like they got a fish even.
I was going to say, he's going to get that one, yeah.
Flying fish.
Unless you turn the camera all the way around and you see the coastline like right there. These guys are definitely weather fools on that. The other one that I'm going to share with you also from Twitter, this is from Jen Zoo Scott. So it's at JenZhuScott. And this was from Typhoon, and get my pronunciation correct because I'm going to screw this up, but Typhoon Mangkut?
Mangkut, yeah. It's hard to say.
So Typhoon Mangkut, and so you got to catch this right away. So I'm going to show this video. And I don't know if did you see that guy barreling in there again.
Yeah.
I'll play it again. But so
look at that. Ouch.
So the winds are screaming, and this someone's just taking their phone and they're taking a camera shot. They're probably protected, but it's out on the courtyard of a hotel or something. The palm trees are just blowing, and the rain is just coming down, and there's already someone laying down on the ground up against a wall. When all of a sudden you see someone else that's just sliding. Okay, the wind is just blowing them across the courtyard, right into the wall next to their buddy, and it's just crazy. Like what? Wow. Hey, that looks like fun. Not really. That doesn't really look like fun. And he goes flying into the wall, and it's just massive chaos.
So were there two of them?
There were one. It looks like one maybe had already tried it, and went flying into the wall, because when the video started, someone's on the ground. Yeah. Up against the wall. It's like a brick courtyard, and it's all wet because it's raining. And of course, then all of a sudden, out of the back of the camera, here comes someone that's just sliding. I mean, they're literally on the ground, sliding in the rain. I don't know how fast that was. That was pretty freaking fast, and they went flying into that same wall.
It's probably a first responder wannabe. Right in
there. Probably.
Nice. Good job there.
That was a good one.
Awesome video. All right, Dina, can you top that?
That one was pretty good. I'm going to share my screen too. This one is just mainly about worst timing. And there's some people in a car, and they've got their cell phone, and they're taking some shots. And what's funny is you could tell, like, the rain is on the window. So they think, okay, I'm going to roll down the window, and bam! As soon as they do it, as soon as they roll the window down, somebody comes by and hits a huge puddle. It splashes in the car, and I mean, it just drenches the car. And then they do it again slow-mo. Here comes the window down. I mean, as soon as the window comes down, this car goes down and just fills everything. It's so funny.
Do you think they timed that purposefully to do that, or do you think that they literally?
I don't think they did, but I'm sure the car next to him thought, "Oh, this is going to be funny.
I'm going to spray the out of them."
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was a good one. But I mean, you got to be careful when you put your window down in that, because I mean, it covered the dash, it covered their legs.
All right, Michael, you're sharing one. You're not sharing one.
I am sharing one tonight.
Good.
All right, Michael.
What do you got? Still there?
Yep, still here. So what I was going to go with on this is, there was this water rescue in Scottsdale. So Arizona got a ton of rain from the remnants of Rosa, which was a hurricane in the eastern Pacific, came up over Arizona, dumped all this rain. Well, I just have to read. I just got to read part of this. So this guy, his name was Cooper Moore. He was 20 years old. He was cited under Arizona's stupid motorist law and slammed with 4 tickets. One of those was reckless driving. Another one was being on the wrong side of the road. So why was this the weather fool, right?
Yeah.
Yes. He decided to drive through barricades that were in place. And this was his quote. He said he quickly realized that it was a mistake when the water reached halfway up his tires.
Oh, God.
He said, I thought it was just more convenient going through this, and I didn't see how powerful the water was at the time. And when I got to that point where my car is, I tried to go in reverse, but it stalled and my engine just shut off, and I needed to get rescued.
You know, it's not convenient.
Nice.
Dying is not convenient.
Yeah.
No kidding.
It's not convenient moving those things to get past it anyway. I've seen people do that. Like I was out watching some flood. The guy moved the barrels. I'm like, that's
Really?
inconvenient too.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm out here in it. We've seen a lot of flooding here, even over the summer in Oklahoma, and we talk about it. And I'm convinced that no amount of shaming or calling people out or even putting them live on the news, it just doesn't matter. People are going to do this kind of
They
stuff.
still do it.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what Weather Fools is for.
I told Michael that's our contribution to our Weather Ready Nation ambassador that we're a part of. That's how we contribute, is to teach people what not to do
Yeah.
Yeah.
in bad situations.
Yeah, and I mean, is there anything that's really worth it? I mean, I see these people and they're just getting, even if they make it out, okay, let's just take the whole like personal safety thing out of it. Let's say you aren't at risk at drowning necessarily, but you've trashed a vehicle, probably the second most expensive thing most people buy in their life, next to their house. And you're just trashing it. Like, why? Just go around. Just wait till the flooding recedes. Whatever.
I think people think, oh, I'm going to be late, or it's going to take too long. Everybody knows it's flooding. If your boss is that bad that they're going to give you a hard time for being late for work, then
He just wanted to prove it.
Yeah.
You know, hey, my car's floating. I'm going to be late.
I could get through that.
Anyway,
Yeah,
okay.
that does happen a lot. I think you're right about that.
I bet.
You know,
If
as
you'd
our-
like to, go ahead. Sorry.
I say, as our T-shirt says, everyone, only you can prevent weather fools.
That's
Yes.
true. Very good. And if you want to check out more of these, you can go to episode 63 show notes on Stormfront Free. You're right. It is tough.
Welcome to the
I haven't done
blooper
it
reel,
for a while.
guys.
I totally messed you all up.
And welcome to KOCO. All right. Stormfrontfreaks.com, or you can also watch us on your podcast. Right, Phil?
I don't know if you can watch
Right.
us on the podcast, but you can view the show notes a lot of times
Well, there you go.
on your podcast app.
You can
So,
view the
Same
link.
thing.
That's
Same
it.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's visual. All right, so we're going to take our final break. We want you guys to stay right here for some bizarre stories in our Weather's Believe It or Not segment. All right, wow.
Yeah, whatever.
We made it. We made it through that. Okay, last segment, Maz.
Yes.
I've got you introducing this as well.
What's it called again?
Weather's, instead of Ripley's Believe It or Not, it's Weather's Believe It or Not.
Hey, by the
Weather's-
way, guys, I love the fact that you mentioned Gary England because he was like my mentor. I worked
Right.
with him for about 15 years, and
Oh, wow.
his birthday was yesterday, so I gave him some shout outs on
I saw
social
that.
media and stuff.
Wasn't he
So-
like 70 when you started working with him?
No, not quite that
Kidding,
old, but
kidding.
yeah, I mean, I think that's what people may have thought, but
No. Gary's awesome.
Yeah.
He is.
Oh, my
smack it up,
gosh.
flip it, rub it down, all the stuff.
Yeah.
He says.
jump back,
He was
Loretta, throw me down, yeah. Yeah, he's got. The crazy thing, a lot of the names that he says are real people. Like he either knows these people or in his family. I mean, he's got like Tiny and Porter and Rip and Tootie and all these people.
And Tootie.
Hey, Phil.
Yeah, Tootie,
Yeah.
that's right.
Do you
Yeah,
want-
Loretta's. This. I don't know. He may have made that one up. I don't know. Redheaded.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
I thought he told us the story of Loretta.
I thought that's his wife, isn't it?
I
No.
thought so too.
No,
No.
no.
Well, his wife's name's Mary, but now he may have based the character on her.
Okay.
All right, Maz, what were you going to say?
I have no idea. No.
Okay.
Do you want us to share a screen, or is this just read only? or
If
what do you
it's
wanna do?
if it's worth sharing a screen and that's effective, you can.
All right.
But if you just want to tell the story about what happened and what it was
Okay.
all about, and
Got it.
get your Prairie Home Companion story
Yeah.
gig
nice.
on and tell the story of what happened. Yeah, that's the rest of the story, right?
Oh,
So all right, so we'll. I've got one, by the way.
Okay. Phil, I've got one.
Maz has one.
Believe it or not.
Good.
All right.
Wow, man.
So we've got two.
Wow. Yeah, I'm dumping mine. I didn't like it after I saw what you guys were doing.
Okay.
Which one was it?
It was mainly like it was kind of like
The
does
It was more like a
does
weather
drinking-
phenomenon, right?
Yeah. It wasn't
Oh, okay,
exactly what
okay.
I think we were going for.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Got
So
it.
we'll come back, Maz. So we'll bring back to you, and then again, episode 63. You can flip it back to me. We'll go to MJ for listener questions and responses, and I'll close us out.
Sounds good.
Very good. All right. Ready when you are.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay. So you're clapping now. We'll see if you're still clapping in just a second. So you've heard of Ripley's Believe It or Not. Well, this is Weather's Believe It or Not. Interesting things that may or may not have happened. Phil, is yours something that did or didn't?
Yeah. So, well, I think the idea is these are things that did happen. It's just hard to believe that they really did. But if
Good,
you are
'cause I
from
got one that
Texas, if you're from Texas, you might be familiar with this story and what happens. But they call it Satan's Storm. This happened back on June 15th in 1960. So, Maz, you might have been around.
Thank you.
So Satan's Storm, this was in, now I'm going to mispronounce the name of the town, Copperell, Texas. And here's what happened. And so they call it Satan's Storm, of course, because it was frickin' hot. This was a strange, crazy day. So this is a tiny town in Texas, and they experienced this heat wave that is really hard to believe, because when they woke up in the morning, these folks, they literally thought their house might be on fire and the world was ending. This was like an apocalyptic situation. What happened was this, is in a matter of minutes, this happened in the morning, in a matter of minutes, it went from 70 degrees outside to 140 degrees outside. There was a 70-degree change in the temperature. And again, we're talking in a matter of minutes. They call this phenomenon a heat burst. When the descending air warms up and really rapidly due to this compression in the atmosphere. And the thunderstorm, it was originated from a thunderstorm that created this heat burst. They called it Satan's Storm. Winds got to about 75 miles an hour. It was taking the roof off of storms, knocking down trees. And then following this was this massive heat burst that literally cooked the corn on the stalks, the corn stalks. And people in the town said their thermometers literally exploded. This was back in 1960 when they didn't have digital thermometers. And because it went from 70 degrees to 140 degrees in a matter of minutes. And I'll tell you what, I would think that that's going to be an apocalyptic event myself.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Free popcorn.
It would pop right there.
Nice. Man, you'd have to heat. How high up would that air have to start from
I
to go
don't believe
70
that.
degrees?
That
I'm
can't
trying to
be-
think of the
no.
dramatic lapse rate. And
No, not 140. Forget it.
Get out your slide rule.
is it 1 degree per thousand? 1
Okay,
degree
you're
Celsius?
thinking too
Anyway.
hard, because I can tell you're about to have an aneurysm. So
Yeah, thank you.
stop.
Are you
Stop.
coming down the dry
was-
lapse rate, or
It happened. Look it up. Look it up, folks. Satan's
Oh,
Storm.
fine.
Look it up. It
All right,
happened.
we're going to go back in time for mine too. Mine is the locust plague of 1874.
God,
now, I
I hate
wasn't
those
around
things.
for yours, but I was around for this
They
one.
literally fly right at you, I think. I hate
Ew.
locusts. Ugh.
Oh
Ew.
yeah, and I'll just on a side note too before I get into the story. When's the last time you saw a grasshopper?
I've seen
I've
lately.
seen
I've
them,
seen
yeah.
a few.
Oh yeah,
Really?
they've been on the bike path around.
Because
here.
I grew up in Nebraska where they were swarming all the time, and I'm not seeing a whole lot of them anymore. So I don't know.
There was a dead one on my porch last night.
it got
Well,
hit
on
by
that
heat
note,
burst.
Should
Bad
alert the
night for
media.
grasshopper.
All right. So imagine being a farmer in the American Midwest, summer of 1874, all kinds of stuff to worry about. It's a hot, dry July morning, and you see a black cloud approaching your farm. You're like, what is it? It's not smoke.
Storm.
It's a cloud of locusts.
You.
Ew.
Now, imagine how many locusts do you think there would have to be for this to occur?
Oh.
I'm horrible
than
at that.
10.
I always miss those games
how
where you got
many
to count the
M&Ms are in the
M&Ms in a
jar?
jar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now think
Do I
about
get
this.
another lifeline?
Yeah. They ate their way across the Midwest, cutting a swath 110 miles wide and 1,800 miles long.
What the?
That's
So it's
disgusting.
estimated 124 billion to 12.5 trillion locusts.
What?
And what
It's
happens
somewhere in
You
is-
guys
there.
are making this up.
No, anyway.
It's
So
amazing.
that summer was really hot and dry, which apparently locusts love that because the prairie plants adapt to the drought conditions by building up a whole bunch of sugar and concentrations, and the locusts love that. So they eat, then they multiply, and then they eat some more, and you kind of get the picture, right?
It's
So
like-
it was so terrifying. This is actually documented by the Nebraska State Historical Society. Whole families starved to death as the hungry monsters caused a ridiculous amount of damage to the farming industry. They ate wooden tools, leather saddles, and even the clothing that you were still wearing.
Ew.
Giddy
Now, the
up.
chickens loved that because chickens started to devour the locusts, but this turned their eggs and their meat oily and just like nasty.
Ew.
Oh,
And then, of
That's
course, you
just
got
gross.
dead bugs, bug poop coated everything. It
And you
looked like
can't
an
even
oil
eat the
slick.
chickens.
I know it, right?
Do insects
Ew.
poop?
Whoa.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Man, this
Apparently.
sounds like something straight out of Exodus, like Pharaoh.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
Wow.
I know
it,
it.
it doesn't it sound biblical?
Where's
I mean,
Yeah, it
Moses when you
does.
need 'em?
How did they still
Where's
Yeah.
the
survive?
flood? I should have brought a flood one.
yeah.
Now I haven't heard of a locust, for a long, long time, a big swarm like that. But I had a roommate of mine who got his master's in that, and he was actually tracking
He got his master's in locust.
in locust. No, in climatology. Sorry about that. And he would actually track the swarms over in Africa. So apparently they're still around.
Well, they need to stay
Locust
in Africa.
chasing. Hey, Michael,
Yeah.
there's the
Oh,
next
there-
thing,
hey,
man.
Hey,
That's
Locust
locust
swarm
chasing. Yeah.
Bring your own chickens.
Well, I guess I'll have to find the institution that's offering a master's in that.
You're gonna have to wear an Iron Man suit just to go over that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
All right. And if you don't believe us or not, you can check us out on episode 63, stormfrontfreaks.com. And you can check out the show notes there, are also the link on the podcast.
That's
So,
right. That's right. All right. So those good stories. All right.
Yeah.
So MJ, let's shoot it to you. What do we got for any listener comments, questions?
All right, we
etc.?
got some comments. We got a question we're going to try to stump all of you with
Oh,
too from one of
Okay.
our listeners.
50-50.
We'll start off though with Brolin McKay, who says, "Hey Phil, love the show. I'm working through from show number 1 to current. Wow, thank
What's
you."
he on?
I don't know.
It's like
He's working
3.
on it.
Got a
But
He
ways to
can't
go.
get he can't get through 3. He stopped it halfway
Big
through. and he
fan.
hasn't gotten
Big
back.
fan.
It's only like 63 hours or something,
He
isn't
says,
it?
"Y'all are one of my favorite podcasts and far and away the best weather podcast." And then he says, "Thanks for dumbing stuff down for non-Met chasers like myself." And I think dumbing things down is one of our
There you
fortes.
go. That's what makes us so great.
Comes natural.
So thank you, Brolin, for being a listener. Bobby Stillwell's going to be really disappointed. He's going to make our show here a shout out, but he says, "Glad to hear the return of Brady last week." Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
So sorry.
That's all right. That's all right, man. Brady disappoints us all the time too. So
I'm just going to get a picture of a cat with a microphone in front.
There you go.
We'll put a cat poster up in his slot.
And he goes on and says, "Really hope the weather troll bot returns soon."
it's
No.
coming.
Another-
It's coming
Another
back.
That one. Yeah.
It'll be back.
That's-
All
that
right.
was Tweaks.
We
on that
spent a lot of money on that weather
Yeah.
troll bot, 5,000. We can't not use it.
one. Carburetor adjustment.
And then folks at past guests, StormQuest game, they tweeted to us, and they tweeted us a link to an interesting video about using drones for severe weather forecasting. It was a PBS video, and we can probably get that in on the show notes. And here's the question for all of you, and you guys are going to know the answer to this, or you're going to have an opinion on this anyway. Do you think they will replace radiosondes someday?
Although I'll say this. I don't know if a drone can get that high, for one. But
Yeah, but they will eventually, I bet.
maybe.
Right?
But the one thing is at least maybe you could fly it back to yourself.
Weren't they doing some stuff with lasers? Where they were getting some kind of readings? No, don't go, Phil.
I don't know.
Get my tinfoil hat on.
Yeah, we got aliens too. They were working with aliens from Mars to help us out with that too.
I don't know. What do you think, Michael?
The thing about it is, on that deal though, do you have a drone that's going to be able to go? I mean, what? 70, 80,000 feet or higher?
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't think it'll
because
Air Force has got them, don't they?
They're there now.
Probably, but
I mean, you guys are thinking you're thinking the little 4 propeller little things, right?
No,
you got to think government. You got to right. You got to think.
Yeah, we'll post that video.
Well, that is an interesting idea because you might be able to like move them around rather than having to launch soundings from all over the place. You might just be able to take one drone and move it into different places.
Exactly.
So you might be right. I mean,
maybe.
That's an interesting idea.
How much does a radio sound cost again?
I don't know.
It's not much.
I think they're
like
under $100.
No, it's like 30.
About 200.
Yeah.
Really?
No. $200?
Well, like
yeah.
once
Oh,
you get
that's
the
right.
whole
We're talking
balloon and
government
everything,
money. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
200. The real cost is $30, but the government will pay 200.
Yeah.
I want that frickin' contract, by the way. That
okay.
government. I want any government contract for that regard. But yeah, no, we talked about that at one point when we were talking about drones on one of our episodes, and I know we discussed being able to use drones for that purpose because you can fly them back. You can bring them right back to you instead of hoping someone finds it in their cornfield and returns it to you. Kind of a deal, but it's a good question.
Right.
Yeah, so there you go, folks.
Yeah,
Thanks
but nobody
for-
hacks a
thanks for
radio
listening,
sound, right?
What?
Nobody hacks a radio sound. You can hack a drone. I've heard.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Oh,
Right,
well.
you can.
Okay.
All right. See? Uh-huh.
All right. Anyway, well, hey, on that note, I think that just about does it for this
boy.
episode of Stormfront Freaks
Thankfully.
Podcast. Yeah, we want to thank everybody for listening and watching. But before I reveal the next guest that we're going to have on, if you enjoy our show, do us a favor. Leave a great review on your podcast app for us. And don't forget to subscribe to the show by hitting your podcast app subscribe button. Works just like a magazine or newspaper subscription. All it does, make sure you get the latest episode delivered right to your podcast inbox to be able to listen to it the moment that we release it. So I do want to say, hey, special thanks to our guest, Michael Armstrong. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yes, way to go.
Thank you, Michael.
Good job.
Yeah,
Hey, you guys are welcome. It was a
you were
blast.
great.
Thank you.
And you know what's great is you got the last one on our lightning round. You got the last one right. No one will forget that you were 0 for 5 at the beginning of it. So
No,
That's and
That was great.
until you said
Rub
that.
it in,
Yeah,
Phil,
great.
rub it in.
Until now.
and I want everybody to know our next episode in 2 weeks, we're going to be recording on October 18th with Zoom Radar creator Jeff Biradelli. If you'd like to watch that recording live at 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central, just go ahead and check out our YouTube channel by searching Stormfront Freaks.
I love his chocolate, by the way. It's really good.
Yes.
Here's the thing. I will let everybody know if you are into climate change, that is one area that for 63 episodes we have avoided. Jeff has actually left. He used to be a TV meteorologist down in Florida. He's left to go back to school, I think up in New York, to study more on climate and climate change. And so we might actually get a little bit into that discussion on climate change a little bit on the next episode. So for MJ, for Maz, for Dina, I was about to say Brady again, but he's not with us. So MJ, Maz, Dina, and for Michael, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to signal the all clear. We'll look forward to catching you all next time. Good night, everybody.
Bye. Good night.
Good night. Bye.
How do you pronounce his last name?
Biradelli. B-E-R-A-R.
See,
Deli.
Dina, it's like
Ghirardelli.
Like
Ghirardelli.
Ghirardelli, but
Right.
Ghirardelli.
Thank you.
You know, when
You
you
didn't
have to
laugh.
explain your joke,
She didn't even
when you
laugh.
have to explain it.
Wasn't even a
to-
twinkle in her eye when I said that. So
Well, Michael,
now.
thank you, brother. You did outstanding. We
Yeah,
had a great time.
thanks.
Hey, that was a lot of fun.
Good job.
Yeah, that was good. I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to kind of seeing what you guys dip your toe into next week too.
so are we.
So I'll tell you this, Michael.
I'm a
What I'll
little
do,
scared.
I'll try and follow up with you probably next week. So what we'll do is we'll edit this for the audio, and MJ usually gets that released on Sunday. So on Sunday we'll release the audio podcast. Maybe not on Sunday.
Yes, I try.
What football game
Okay.
is going on that day? I don't know.
It
Yeah.
has to get sent to Brady first, doesn't it?
Anyway, so it'll probably come out Sunday, and it's on Apple Podcasts and Google and Spotify and whatever, you name it. Sometimes, I don't know, MJ, does it, you post it Sunday, but maybe it doesn't come out till Monday, or is it usually Sunday?
No, what
As far
happens,
as you know.
especially with iTunes, what happens is if you subscribe to it, you get it immediately. If you just are going to the site, it doesn't update that all the time. Sometimes it takes overnight
Okay.
to update that for whatever
Okay.
reason. I don't know why, but
Okay.
Well,
But anyway,
I'll give you guys all the love I can because
Awesome.
this was a blast. So.
yeah, so that'll be the audio podcast, and I'll post stuff on. We've got a Twitter, a Facebook, and an Instagram account, so I'll post it on there, and then
Cool.
we'll edit the video. So we edit the video, and then that, as I mentioned to you, that gets streamed on Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV a week from tonight. So they stream us every Thursday night. They have a show. So on like tonight they had a rerun, but next week they'll have this show. Will be next week as well.
Awesome.
And then we post it on YouTube as well. But I'll give you the links to all that stuff sometime next week, so you've got that too, just for your.
That's great.
You can share with your family and show your kids how
Yeah.
well you did
That's
on.
right.
You know, it's funny. My oldest daughter, she was like, "Dad, is this going to be live?" You know, and I was like, "Well, I think it's going to be on YouTube." You know,
Yes.
and she's like, "Yes, I'll be watching." You know,
Oh,
and so
that's
she
sweet.
was she was excited about it.
Good.
Phil,
What's
did you
her
swear
name?
tonight?
What's her name?
Her name is Michaela, and it's
Thanks, Michaela.
Hi, Michaela.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, there
No,
you
and I
go.
don't
Get
think Phil-
get Michaela the shout outs.
And I
She
don't
gonna
think
be
she's
a-
sworn tonight, so it's good.
She's named
I don't
after
think I
me,
did.
so
She gonna be a meteorologist?
probably not. But my son is considering it, so we'll
Oh,
see.
yeah.
Ah,
I'm sure there's a place for him at KOCO.
Sure
among
there
all
is.
of us.
Right.
You guys got to talk to meteorologists.
Yeah,
They got
deep
room for
pockets,
another.
right? Just bring it on.
They got
I love
room
it.
for another.
Let's go to
All
our
right.
team meteorologist.
That's right. Well, Michael, anyway,
right.
thanks so much. We appreciate it. Thanks for hanging on.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Yeah, you guys
Have a good night, man.
night. Thanks.
All right. See you
Good
later.
night.
All right. Bye
All
bye.
right, good night to all our live viewers. We're out.
We'll shut out.
Okay.
Cool. All right.